development, so I think it's okay, pretty good. All things considered. So I want to just help him, go to the next level. Recently expressed, he's, basically wants to do online high school.
Yeah.
And try to go through the, to the pro path.
Okay.
He doesn't want to. I mean, the only reason he wanted to go to college is to play soccer. But I'm thinking, maybe let's see if we can, do the online school. Try to see if we can get an MLS Next Pro somewhere, and try to see how good he's there.
So let's do this real quick before you continue. So just so you know, is it okay if I record the call, and that way we can save it for later, and then let's go ahead and run this for you. So. Okay, so just to make sure I understand so far. So you told me your son, he's 16, so he's what, a 2007 birth year?
2007, yeah.
Okay, so it's 2007 birth year. You said he's currently playing ECNL?
Yeah.
Okay, currently plays ECNL, and you're located in California, correct?
California, yeah.
Okay, and then you said, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, he starts. He starts 90% of the time as a starter. But I wanna, and I kind of wish I saw your course before, or I know he's 16, so it's kind of a little bit, kind of like at the critical stage,
Yeah.
Like if it was like 10 or 11 years old, then we have more time. And I started going through your course. Actually I went through the documents first, and I was reviewing the one with the framework. The
2%.
The youth soccer playbook. I went through the documents first.
Yeah.
Kind of get the gist of it. And so according to this, he should be, it's recommended he be in that, like in the UPSL level, or if it's not an MLS academy.
Yeah.
So since he's not yet in the MLS academy, like that's one of my questions, like what's the best way to try to get him there? Because there's no really trials for that. It's kind of like invite only.
It's invite only,
It seems to me it's only like you have to just basically send them highlight videos or kind of like a resume and try to go that way, right? I mean, that's the only way I can think of. I mean, like the coaches don't really think about, talk about it. And I also went through the, the calculator that you have. And I'm pretty much in that situation with the common one, not getting
the bang for your buck.
Yeah.
So I'm curious real quick. From the calculator perspective, how much in the red were you?
Probably a little bit less red than your example.
Okay, good. Hey, at least
we're still in the red. I mean, we're paying more than what we're getting.
The value, yeah, it's hard. No, and that's why I put it out there, because it's actually fun. I've had people take it and they're like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how bad it was," and I'm like, "Dude, you guys won't get it." So I understand. So let me start with your question about MLS Academies, MLS Next Pro. So in the scale of an MLS Academy, MLS Next Pro, you're right, it's invitation only. You can request a tryout. That doesn't mean they have to accept the tryout.
Yeah.
So like, for example, you're in what area?
San Francisco area.
Okay, so San Francisco, I mean, I don't know California very well. What's the closest? Like LAFC or LA Galaxy, or what's the closest?
Earthquakes.
Earthquakes is closest. Okay, so I mean, basically what I would do is I would go, if that's the route that you want to take, I would go and find the contact information, reach out and be like, hey, my son's very interested. The challenge that you have, though, to be completely transparent with you, is the 07s are going to phase out this year if they have the U17s, which means he'd have to go to, if they have a U19, but most MLS academies don't, so he'd have to make the jump to MLS Next Pro. The challenge you have, though, is if he's only playing his age group at ECNL, right? That's not, unless he's absolute, I mean destroying it. It wouldn't even make sense for them to consider your son because he's only playing his age group, correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why, like in the documentation that you were reading about the youth soccer playbook, I tell people, like, look, if the kid really has this goal, you got to put him in an environment that's really going to push him. That's why I make the recommendation about UPSL or whatever equivalent adult league, because if he's a kid and he's smashing in an adult league, then that's a bigger chance, in my opinion, to get scouted from. So like using UPSL as the example, they have 2 divisions of UPSL typically. Sometimes there's only one, but they have Division 1, which is like lower, and then they have something called Premier. That's your higher end scale, and I compare I compare Premier to like college level.
Okay.
So I always make the recommendation: if a kid can go to Premier and smash it, like kill it, then you got a really good chance of going like MLS Next Pro or whatever. I would just personally be very careful about doing MLS Next Pro because if they offer him a contract, I've seen this happen a lot, and I've had people tell me about it. It can become a graveyard for players because they'll sign a pro contract that's worth about $22,000 a year, but more than likely the chance of them moving up from Next Pro to MLS is very small. So they sign this contract and they lose all their college eligibility because they only last a year, maybe 2 years at most. So for example, the club that's local to me, dude, they cut last year they cut over half the Next Pro team, if not more. So those things happen all the time. It's a turnover. So it just depends on what route you want to take. But if he wants to go and become a pro player, then you really got to start evaluating ways to get him to be challenged to play at a higher scale, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming it's the same thing with, because I was looking at Salt Lake City, MLS Next, they have like a residency program. I'm sure there's a lot of people trying to get in there.
Yeah.
It'd be the same thing, right? Just trying to send a little videos, create some kind of resume, and just trying to get a trial in there. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it's going to be. And then the reason why I mentioned UPSL is because if you look at a lot of the academies, I don't know if Earthquakes has one, but like, for example, Orlando City had a team in UPSL. Charlotte has a team in UPSL. DC United, I believe, has a team in UPSL. So there's many MLS clubs that have a UPSL team.
Oh, okay. So
that will be something to look at. I don't know who in that region has a UPSL team. Maybe none of them. Maybe one of them. Maybe two of them. But that's something to look at because what that means is even if you don't play on that team, but you get on a UPSL team that does, you can play against them.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So there's little things like that you can look at. The other question I would have for you is, have you thought about sending him to Europe?
Yeah, if I can. For me, it's just the cost, but yeah, I mean.
Do you have European passports?
No, we have Central American passports. Okay. I think they have some kind of thing.
Oh, well, even better. Then send him to freaking Ecuador or something and give him those. I mean, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is like, if he wants, does he want to be a pro?
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, if you can send, where are you from?
I'm from Guatemala, Central America.
Okay, Guatemala. Okay. So, I mean, whether it's Guatemala or somewhere else, I mean, they're going to have professional teams. Like, if I was in your shoes and you have that type of potential, I would be looking at South America or Central America way quicker than I would MLS, personally. Just because it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. It's not an easy thing to do. In fact, it's probably going to be harder in the sense of trying to work his way up because he's been in the pay-to-play system for so long. And I tell people there's a huge adjustment when you go from pay-to-play America to an international club or even an MLS Academy because that is like the idea that they have is I'll call it survival of the fittest. It's not for everybody to be a part of. You earn your playing time. The coach doesn't have to like you. You maybe play, you maybe don't play. It's all competition within each other. So like the example I give is when I went to Europe again as an adult, I played on a team and I told them, hey, I'm a 6 or an 8. Cool, play me there. First game they put me in, official game, they put me as a right wing, so number 7. And then in the second half, they put me as a number 5, which was a left center back. And I'm like, why are you guys doing this? And they're like, oh, you told us where you can play, but we want to see what else you can offer the team. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So like it was all just earning stuff. You see what I'm saying? So like if that's the route that he wants to take, then bro, I would send him as fast as possible if possible, to a Central American country to let him see what real football looks like because it's not even close, ECNL, to what you're going to get in an experience like that.
Yeah, actually this summer we went to Guatemala for a month and he got a chance to play with the second team, the local second team, in the pro.
There you go.
For 2 weeks. I mean, he did.
Boom.
He did pretty well, but and then it was just like in the training season they did scrimmages and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the team started going out, so he when we came back. But he kind of got a chance in there.
Good.
And he did. He did well. I mean, the only he did see like they're pretty fast and
right.
Quick. So
yeah, I mean, I would be looking at that stuff if I was in your shoes. Because, if you think about it the other way, right? If you go to a country like that, so let's take the club that your son went to already. Like, and I just put this out as a bunch of tweets. Do you have Twitter?
Yeah.
So if you can read my entire thread, but I just put this out yesterday because I was sitting there and I was like, I don't think people realize like the cost of an MLS academy. And what I mean by that is if you look at any club in Europe or in South America, the reason that they have an academy is one of two reasons, or potentially combined. And the first one is because they need to sell players. They need the money to sustain themselves. So they develop a kid or 2 kids or 3 kids, and then they sell them for profit, right? Or they develop a kid because they need somebody in the first team. And both of them are a need. So it's survival, because they could get relegated. They could be dropped down a division. They don't want to be relegated, right? So like that's why academies were formed, because once the Bosman rule came out where people could get out of their contracts after they expire, they created training compensation. And so clubs now have a reason to develop kids, right? But if you look at an MLS academy, they don't need, MLS academies are brand new. They're what, like 4 years old? So they've always had players before MLS academies. And now, if you really think about what is the incentive, they don't have to sell players and they don't have to bring players to the first team, right? So what's the real incentive? Where if you send him to Guatemala, Ecuador, wherever, and he gets on a team and he makes it, they're going to try and cash him out quickly because they want the money.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? So like I'll give you a different example. So there's a kid that I worked with. He played at OCB, so the MLS Next Pro. He got, I don't know exactly what happened, but he was no longer there. I think he got released. So he got connected to go to America de Cali, which was in Colombia. And they were like, look, he was a 17-year-old kid. And so he was becoming 18. They couldn't sign him until he turned 18, but he was able to play and whatnot. And they said, look, our goal is to keep you for a year at most and sell you for significant profit. So they were just trying to keep him for a year at most and get him out. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the desire they have. Where an MLS Next Pro, they don't have to develop kids. They don't have to promote kids to the first team. It's not a requirement. I mean, they want to have kids come through, but it's not a necessary, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's still true for like, the players connected to like earthquakes or something. Right?
Yeah.
The same.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only thing about the Guatemalan team that I was saying, I mean, nationally, or they're not like top. They're not like an Argentinian team or anything.
Yeah.
So that should be okay. I mean, right? Or
yeah. I mean, I don't know what team it is, but I'm assuming you didn't have to pay for it. You had to pay for its expenses to be there, right? So the team's free.
Yeah, it was free. It's totally free.
Yeah.
We were there anyway.
Yeah.
We just got a chance.
Well, and the thing you would tell your son, or if it was, let's flip that. If it was my son, I would be like, listen, you say you want to play pro, right? Yes. Okay. Well, here's your opportunity. Go earn this shit, kid. You want to play pro? Go see what it's like in the real world. I mean, you've been in the real world for how many years? That shit ain't nice. It's not fair. It's not whatever. You got to go earn your shit, bro. And sometimes, whether it's right or wrong, it goes in your way or it doesn't go in your way, and that's life. I would if everything went the way that I thought my life was going to go, I wouldn't be here today. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought I'd be a full-time pro playing in the Premier League. Didn't happen. And like there's so many little things that I didn't know that I know now, and it's like, God damn, pardon my French, but if I knew this stuff now, I would have done shit completely differently. But I didn't know. Yeah. So if because you said he's 16, so if my man, it's crazy because I almost went to Europe at 16, and we were trying to work some stuff for me to go to Holland and whatnot, and it didn't happen. And like now that I'm looking back on it, I'm like, damn, dude, I wish I went. Because like the thing is, Ron, college is always there. You can always go to college. I just helped a kid 20 years old go Division I. He's 20.
Yeah.
American kid, 20 years old, just went D1. So there's time for kids to go back to college or to go to college. But you only get so long of a window to try and go pro.
Yes.
And they want young kids. They want guys that are young. And if you got that connection in terms of the passport and the potential to put him somewhere where he can try and earn it, cool. If it don't work out, he comes back home, he goes to school.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it's an easier sell anyways to colleges because colleges want international players. right? Like UCF is 30 minutes from my house. The entire starting 11 of UCF is international. The entire starting 11. There's not one American kid on that roster. Now there's probably like 5 or 7 like in the reserves or the the full squad 18 or whatever. But in the starting 11, there's not one American player. I mean it's crazy what's happening now.
Yeah.
So what else?
Because at this point that was the thing I was trying to juggle because my son in any case he wants to try the soccer first.
Yeah.
And with the school, he's just kind of like secondary for him. Even now, he's saying it's kind of just getting in my way because I can't train. So he wants to do the online school, which I'm fine with.
Right.
If and also let's see here, some questions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean to me, like right now, ECNL kind of pushes a lot of those showcases and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to go to one next month. Kind of like. I told the coach basically we're not going to go. One because my son wants to have at least a year after high school for college.
Yeah.
But it kind of just seems like a waste of cash because unless you're emailing already being recruited and then the coach can go see you, then it's not why go to Texas to be seen by a college that he wants to go here in California.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but do you know what ECNL even represents, or what I shouldn't say represents? Do you know what ECNL is designed for? College.
Yeah.
It's college. So if your kid's saying, I don't want to play college, or at least now I don't want to play college, I want to try and go pro, what benefit are you going to get?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like the ECNL was literally created for college. They're not trying. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 that go professionally, right, on a very small scale. But in terms of the overall objective of ECNL, they created it for college.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, it's not very often that you're going to get a kid. That's why there's competition between MLS Next and ECNL, because ECNL wants to dominate the college path. And you have MLS Next that's trying to put themselves on the hey, we're here to get kids to professional ranks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So those are just things to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, cause I thought I got more mileage just going to college ID camps. They got to see them, directly.
Yeah, right.
And we got pretty good feedback. I mean, from the coaches. The only thing, I'm about 5'7" myself. My son right now is about 5'5".
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of worry about his size. He has to be. I think he has to be faster than everybody else. I think he's going to be about some of a cloud, right? From some of the. I know some coaches. They want the big guys, 5'11".
Oh yeah, all day. Yeah. What position does he play?
He's playing forward, the 9.
The 9. Okay. So I mean, I've never seen your son. I don't know what he looks like, but right off the bat, if he's 5'5", he doesn't pass the eye test, especially in this country. So by eye test, I'm talking about just physique, right? So he's shorter. I don't know if he's like stockier or is he skinny. What does he look like from a size perspective? Body.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit stocky. I mean,
is he in the gym? And by gym, I mean, is he working out?
Some, but not a lot.
So I would definitely start getting him to work out. You can't force him, but tell him, hey, you need to be in the gym. You need to be working on your body. Because again, like, especially in this country, if he's going to stay here, if he doesn't bulk up, and I don't mean he's got to be huge, but he's got to bulk up his body. He won't. It's a different beast because they're going to look at him and be like, hey, he's not tall enough. First thing off the jump, they're going to be like, not tall enough. But if they see him and he's stocky, so he's got muscle on him, they're going to be like, oh, okay, he's short, but he's got size. He'll be able to handle that physical push that happens in football.
Yeah.
So just something to think about. At least present to him. Maybe have him watch this part that we're talking about and be like, hey, you need to be in the gym. You need to be building your body. And there's not even a bunch of weight. I'm not even saying he's got to be lifting, doing 300-pound squats. That's not the point. But he's got to be in the gym. He's got to start getting lean. He's got to start getting cut. And he's got to start building a footballing body, especially at his size.
I see. Yeah. Another thing he has fun with that, he likes working out. He likes doing the physical stuff.
Yeah.
He says I prefer physical pain than mental pain. Talking about the calculus and all that stuff.
Sure. All right, that's good. That's awesome. That's all about putting in that work, man. What else?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I think I just wanted to confirm some stuff. let's see. I have some questions here. But yeah, I'm going through your course right now.
Sweet. What do you think of it?
Finished it. It's good. I mean, it's a lot better than when I first saw it. I was okay. You wrote some framework, and that's great. But when you start getting into it, and especially with the experience that we get, we put it in. Oh my God, I'm missing all the stuff. You start realizing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Because I did notice that our course is it's pretty good, not bad. But 2 years ago, it was funny because his son and the assistant coach son went to I don't know if you know, like they got signed with Oakland Roots, the second team.
Cool.
Which is basically UPSL.
Yeah.
At the time they were training there, at the same facilities as us afterwards, actually. And then I asked him, hey, how did they get a chance? Because I was thinking, is the rental parents going to get a chance to, try out or something? He goes, oh, no, they were just here, and then we just, since we stayed late anyway, they were practicing, so they asked, hey, you want to get in and play? And then, they pretty much got signed. But it was only them two, actually, not the rest of the parents.
Right.
So it was kind of more like, like the context, a little bit of luck, and it's a whole. Unfortunately, the rest of the parents didn't get that opportunity.
There you go. It's hard, isn't it?
Try out.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing. Last question I have for you is how are your son's stats in the ECNL, like goals and assists? How does he look?
Pretty good. I mean, last season he was the leading scorer for the team for a team. So
when you say last season, you mean when is last season? You talking about the fall, or are you talking about literally a year ago?
Yeah, last fall.
Okay. How many goals?
Yeah. He scored about 12 goals.
How many games?
14 games.
12 games. Okay.
About 14 games.
Okay. 12 goals.
Almost averaging a goal,
He's just shy of a goal of a game. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
he's one of the fastest players, and he used to run track and stuff, so that helps him, especially with the size.
Sure. Yeah, so I would be looking at, in the very near future, at least for now until you take him somewhere.
Probably the summer.
I would say as quick as possible, find an adult team that he can play on. So I would personally look at UPSL Premier. If he can play there, he can play for an MLS Academy for sure. He might even be able to play an MLS Next Pro. But I would highly be considering taking him to Central America.
I see.
Not even a question. If it was my son, he's saying he wants to go play, but if he wants to play ball for real, like, bro, if you want to play ball for real, I got this. We're going. Take the risk. What do you got to lose? If it doesn't work out, he comes back and goes to school.
Yeah.
But then, because here's the thing. Like I literally had this same type of conversation with another parent. Their son was a little bit younger. He was a 2009. So he was asking me because he was telling me, hey man, I got the potential to take him to AS Roma, which is in Italy, which is one of the top clubs in Italy. And I said, okay, let me ask you a question. Because he was a super connected guy, professional tennis player and whatnot. And I was like, okay, let me ask you a question. If your son went to Roma right now, would he make it? And he was like, fuck no. And I'm like, okay, so if we sent him right now, he's not going to make it. He's like, yes, okay. So let's break this down then. What is he missing to be ready for Roma? He needs to improve a little bit technically, but his biggest thing is his mental. Like, he's very weak mentally. Like, if things don't go his way, he cracks. That's the best way to explain it. And I told Dad, I was like, listen,